I got really anxious when my mother died.
It's just very strange and surreal, and it almost sometimes feels like a dream.
It is.
Yeah.
He passed away very suddenly, very unexpectedly as well on Christmas Day, which probably is also why I don't like celebrating Christmas anymore.
I don't know.
But
I don't know if I see any correlation there.
and
I got really anxious when my mother died.
That was recent, right? In the last 5 years?
Yeah. I couldn't sleep.
How come? When did your father die?
My father died last year.
Oh, okay. So your
When he
mother
died, I was like, yeah, nigga, death.
What do you think the difference is? Because men are just like soldiers, and it's just like, yeah, we served together. But my mom is like my mom.
My mom was just that person. My mother was like just this big, bright person. It's like a person that you're never going to see another. My mother was Prince.
Yeah.
My mother was Michael Jackson. My mother was Martin Luther King. My mother was somebody huge. She wasn't a small light. And everybody in my family, my mother was gone. It wasn't like some little divot from a golf ball.
Right.
It was like a meteor came in from, and a meteor the size, 2 sizes the size of Earth came and crashed down and just shattered all of us.
And the anxiety you think was?
Well, as a kid, I used to have anxiety because I never wanted to die.
Okay.
I have FOMO. I love life. And I hate the fact that when I die, that people are going to be living and having fun, and I'm going to be in a box somewhere. Fucking bothers me. I don't want to be in a box. Like, burn me outside.
Yeah.
Freeze me. A death gives me anxiety. So when my mother died, I was riddled with anxiety because that was the life of the party. And it's like, even your mother goes. And you're like, wait, hold on.
If your
this
mom
ain't
goes.
a joke. This happens to all of us.
Yeah.
And it fucked me up. And I couldn't sleep for maybe 2.5 years. I would drink myself to sleep. I would drink my whiskey, or I got introduced to whiskey. And I would just down my Abalone or have my scotch or my Macallan, or my it would go with Chappelle, the Nika coffee, or the Hibiki. And what happened was, then I started therapy again. When I started therapy, I didn't have one doctor. I have 2 that I speak with, a female.
Play them against each other?
Yeah.
You know what she says.
Yeah, because sometimes as a man, I could be an arrogant asshole. I can have my machismo and the woman gives you a different perspective, and sometimes they champion you for having those things, those egos, those things that protect you or build you. Like, no, you're fine to feel that. And what happened was, you're like, why would you have 2? Because I was in a couples therapy, and then the girl left. So I was left by myself.
So it didn't go that it didn't work.
Oh, she left. She was like, I'm out.
Middle of a session?
Yeah, no way. She was like, they didn't agree with what she said. She was like, I'm out.
That's hilarious.
No, they against me. So they help heal my anxiety.
What did you figure out with the mom stuff? It was the life of the party thing. It was the, if she dies, that means like,
yeah.
Because I always think, because I'm the youngest of 10, I always think about how many people, if nature is correct, the amount of funerals.
You got to plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, their nieces and nephews and all that stuff, but like, you just kind of go like, God damn, that's not going to be easy.
It's going to be very hard.
Where's your dad?
Oh, he passed away a few years ago.
Oh, glad I asked.
Yeah.
Were
That's
your
gonna be a
parents
block. Right
still
here.
married?
That'll be a really quick block.
Were they married?
Yeah.
And what kind of person was he?
He had a temper, but he was a very gregarious guy amongst family and friends. So he would come in the room, and everyone would be like, he would be the center of attention in the room. He could always hold the room, always had jokes, and he very focused guy on education. So he would help his entire family in Malaysia. He would be the guy who'd be like, you gotta go here and study. You have to go to KL. To the point where he would force some of my cousins, like his nieces and nephews, he would force them into the car to go to the city to study, because he'd be like, you need to learn accounting. so that you'll have a future. He was the guy who is like and he wasn't even the oldest in the family. You know, he was considered the younger brother.
And he was well educated.
He got his master's, but he got it late in life, which is why I came to America, because he had 2 kids. His business failed, and then he decided to go to college with 2 kids to kind of retrain himself, and then he became an executive. When he went back to Singapore, he became like because in the early 90s, that was the last time when an overseas education was quite impressive.
Now everyone and then everyone started doing it.
Yeah, so everyone kind of has it. It's still, you know, kind of impressive, but now everyone has it, you know, so it's a bit less like of a wow thing. But I think he caught that tail end of you study overseas. Oh wow, that kind of thing. And he was also a smart guy, so he, you know.
And were you cool, tight with him? How would you?
Yeah, we were cool. I don't think we were best friends, but I think we were cool, especially towards the end. You know, I think he passed away very suddenly, so we never got to say goodbye or anything.
What happened?
He was working on his farm, and he passed away on the farm. Yeah.
What kind of farm was it?
It's not like the old McDonald's farm. It's like a Malaysian Johor Bahru farm. So it's not barns and horses. It's like the tropics. There's oil palms, there's bananas, there's rubber tappy. So it's like
brutal.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. Yeah, but he loved it.
Was he always doing that?
He grew up doing that. He grew up being his family was rubber tappers in Malaysia, which rubber in Malaysia was like white gold back in the day. It's like that was, if you could tap rubber, it was unbelievable, especially if you own your own rubber trees. And so he grew up doing that, but he was like the guy in the family who went to school. He's probably the best educated in his family. Maybe 2 other aunties, but he was kind of like the academic one. And so he left that to go to the executive life and business and executive. He kind of left farming.
Right.
And then when he got older, he got retrenched, and he just decided to go back to farming. Like something in him was like, I need to go back to farming. So he did it very happily. And I gotta say, the farming helped him mentally and physically so much. Even though it was like a brutal farm, he just loved it, you know? He just loved it.
And
his farm was like our stage time. It was like, he just felt alive in that farm. Yeah.
What ways are you similar to him? What ways are you different?
I think apparently we talk the same, and we're very straight shooters, and we can both be the life of the party and also the grumpiest at the party, that was probably him. And he would always tell people how they should be better in their lives. Like, you should go and do this, and that's a dumb idea. And that, you know, and I think I got a lot of that from him, just being.
I think I got a lot of that from him as well.
He would come in and be like, you should be studying accounting. And it's like, that's a dumb business idea. You should. He was like the ultimate management consultant.
I'm gonna be honest with you, he sounds white. Sounds like a white guy.
Hey man, to white people don't know this. In Asia, there's people who are like that in Asia.
There are white Asians. White-hearted Asians.
But that's what's astounding.
He died. And are you aware of how that affected you? Do you think about it?
I think I'm still dealing with it.
Yeah.
He passed away very suddenly, very unexpectedly as well on Christmas Day, which probably is also why I don't like celebrating Christmas anymore.
I don't know. But I don't know if I see any correlation there.
Huh. I never got to say bye to him, and it was he visited me in New York just before he passed away for the only time.
What year?
This was like 2017, maybe.
So you're on The Daily Show.
I'm on The Daily Show. He came. Yeah, he saw it. He was pretty psyched to be back in America because he went to college in America, but he hadn't been back since. So his thing was, I just want to go have a Dunkin' Donuts. He was like craving Dunkin' Donuts. So we just brought him to Dunkin' Donuts in New York. And I think he had a good time in New York City.
White? He's white.
Yeah, man. And the last time I saw him was at Terminal 8 at JFK. That was when he was waving bye to go back to Singapore. So every time I fly out there, it's fucking brutal.
I bet.
Yeah, it's like, oh, damn, that's the last time. Literally, that TSA line is the last time I saw him.
That's the American terminal.
Yeah.
American Airlines. I know that terminal well.
Yeah, Terminal 8. So it's brutal, yeah. Lots of brutal stuff. When he passed away, we had to go and figure out his affairs, like
you and your mom,
his legal matters, because he left so suddenly. It's very weird. He was so old school. He left all his documents on his kitchen table. So we were able to go through it, paper printed out. So he left it there like 4
How often
stacks.
would he do it?
I
Would
think
he
that's just
leave
how
it?
he did business. I think that's just how he did it because he was old school in that
Yeah.
way. So he printed it out. But yeah, when we come in, his stack, he had 4 stacks of folders, and we had to go through each stack to figure out what he was doing. You know, it wasn't anything shady. It was just like we had no idea what his
Yeah.
farming was like. And my brother-in-law is a forensic accountant, so that helped.
That's fine.
And my wife is
Nice.
a lawyer, and so it was like if there was any team that was able to crack this case, it was us. And so we just went through it for like a week, and man, it was brutal. It was brutal looking through all his stuff, his old handwritten notes. You know.
Yeah, it must have been heartbreaking.
Yeah, yeah.
And it must also be, if you don't mind me saying, like kind of surreal.
Yeah.
Where you're like, did that happen?
Yeah. It's surreal. It is surreal. Yeah. I mean, you know, your father passed away in a hospital, and you said goodbye to him.
You were there, you know.
Yeah, I know. Or at least you tried to say goodbye to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know, people leave suddenly like that, and then you're like, oh, what, you know, and then you see ghosts of their life everywhere. You know, even just last Christmas, just a month ago, I had to go back to Malaysia to finally settle some of his estate matters because of the pandemic. I haven't been able to go back to Malaysia, so we were back in his hometown. I had to go to his hometown, which he brought us to as
It's
a
funny
kid.
because on Instagram it's just, I'm in Malaysia.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then it's like, oh no. I'm like,
I'm going through an
doing
indie
death
movie
stuff.
right now. Yeah, this is an indie road trip movie. Me, my mom, my sister, and we had to go back to his hometown and, you know, meet with a lawyer to sign stuff and
Figure out his rubber farm.
Yeah,
Sounds like a 4,000-year-old job.
right, and then go and see all the family stuff, you know, where he grew up, because he had a big family, so all his family is very welcoming. You know, my dad's side always very cool to us, like love them a lot. So we had to meet up with all of them, and yeah. But he's from a small town
I'm sorry that that's. I mean, we all have to deal with it, but that's seems like zero prep.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
zero.
And we
it's like, is it hard to know what lesson to draw from it? Like, what am I supposed to think? Like, you know what I mean? Maybe you don't even think
not
of life
everything
like
is
that.
a lesson, I guess. But I think, the obvious stuff, right? Make peace with people when you can. Make sure I would say, make your parents have a practical document of where they keep everything in case anything happens. You don't have to be trying to go through it like a forensic accountant trying to figure out what's going on. So at least they have they don't even need to show you. Just have a practical document in addition to your wills, legal will. You have a practical document of like, I have cash under my pillow here,
And
like,
leave it on the kitchen table.
leave it somewhere. Leave it somewhere people can find it. Your passwords, you know, or destroy my laptop, whatever
whatever your masturbation plan is.
whatever the thing is. And what's the lesson from that? I don't know. I think that me and my dad went through our rough patches, I think, and we weren't like best friends, but we weren't enemies. You know, right?
Well,
and I think we
that's the
definitely
other
loved
hard-
each other.
Yeah, that's the other hard thing is like, he dies suddenly.
Yeah.
And you go, man, I wish I'd been closer with him. But not because he died suddenly, but because who wouldn't want to be closer with their dad?
Yeah.
Right?
And also you go like, man, could I have been closer
Right.
with him? You know, things played out the way they played out, right? Like, how could I
Yeah.
have, like, what else could I have done? What, in some ways, what different, maybe we're two similar personalities that we couldn't be friends or whatever it was, but like, we still love each other a lot, you know?
Right.
Yeah, you don't have to be, in fact, the idea of being friends with your parents is not even an Asian thing to be
I'm
friend.
with you 100%. My dad's dead. He's pretty old.
Yeah.
Very old. About as old as you can get was dead.
Right.
And my mom's 88.
Right.
My mom's still like an authority figure to me.
Right.
And I don't like chill around authority figures, you know, like,
right. You're very anti-authority of anything. You're kind of a
Hello.
little bit, yeah.
but that's the, like with your dad, where it's some people, there's almost like structural tension.
Yeah.
Like, he's your dad. He's an authority.
Yeah.
So how cool could it have been? And
How cool it could have been. Exactly.
But I hope, it sounds like you may have like not beat yourself up about it, but sort of questioned your own behavior within it. And
I don't know.
some of it's just personality based.
Yeah. I think I'm lucky in a sense that I don't think obviously, looking back at your last WhatsApp chats with your dad, you go like, oh man, I wish I said something more than, then I don't know where to buy this drone, Dad. Like that's what he asked us. He was like, hey, should I buy a drone for the farm? I'm like, I don't think you should buy a drone. That's like, the worst last conversation you can have with someone else.
I bet it meant a lot.
But so you kind of like wish you could say stuff, but
you don't know. Well, I mean, we're all
Exactly.
just surviving. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We're all just like, I gotta go. I mean, it's a good case for putting sugar in everything.
yes,
It's a good.
yes, exactly.
It's a good tone.
It's a good thing to fix that block.
But it's a lot. Life is busy and messy, and a lot of just like tedious, and we're
Right.
not always.
right.
Like at least you had a relationship with him, and you told him
Yeah.
that getting a drone for a farm is not a good idea.
And not for nothing, but he got to see me go on the Daily Show. He got to see that I wasn't, like struggling in America.
Did you do a chat when he was there? A chat
think
is the
so.
thing when you sit at the table with
I
Trevor.
think so, but the thing I always love Franco for this, because Franco at the Daily Show, the sexy saxophone camera guy, he had a conversation with my dad in the hallway, and Franco so nice. He was like, "Your son is great. Your son's one of the great things." And so, like I guess all parents, but especially like Chinese parents, like you're not good until some third party says, "Oh, this guy's good," and then they're like, "Oh man, my son is good," So
That's funny.
so he kind of walked away from that being like, "Oh man, they really like you on the show, man." I'm like, "Oh yeah. I hope so."
It's funny. And Franco could have just been bullshitting. It's a funny, like, there should be a service where you can talk to Asian parents, where you can hire
someone to tell them that.
Yeah. It'll be our romantic comedy that we're never going to write. I feel like people bring up the death of a parent as it's got to be in the top 3 most significant things that happen to you in the world, other than death of a parent, having a kid, and threatening to kill Kim Jong-un, and then him getting upset
That's
about
a big one, yeah.
Yeah, it's huge for most people.
Yeah, for sure. And I know that experience is going to change me in some fundamental way, but I don't know how or in what way. I just because I'm going through it. You know? Yeah.
And and you said there's some kind of weird about it. Or it's uncomfortable.
It's very it's just very strange and surreal and it almost sometimes feels like a dream, like a weird dream,
Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
I think it's a totally natural reaction.
Yeah.
I'm sure it doesn't make it any easier, but that can be some comfort of like, fuck, it's not uncommon.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing abnormal about it, but it's still.
Yeah. Also, he was again like such a kind of simple. He led such a simple life, and he was like, I don't want a funeral. Don't give me a funeral, And I think a part of me really wanted to eulogize him, but he really didn't want a funeral,
Yeah.
And so a part of me wants to express just how incredible he was, and how incredible his life was.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but you have the floor. I'm serious. Like if you want to, it's not a huge podcast. People listen to it. Like, what was he like?
Well, I mean, he was, again, such a steady, strong presence, and such a good person, he was very much about just, being good to the people around you, keeping your world small.
Yeah.
And really cherishing that world, and he had this remarkable life. He immigrated from Korea to lived in San Francisco, was a busboy at a French restaurant. The boss loved him so much, he helped him go to France, to go to university in France, learned French. Came back to LA and back to Korea, met my mom, came back with my mom, and just, English was his third language.
Yeah.
And he he was just always loved also everywhere he went. It's like everywhere he worked, people loved him, you know. And even when he was at the souvenir shop, you know, I would go there and everyone in that vicinity would tell me how much they loved my dad.
Yeah.
And how, and I would never see this side of my dad, you know. I never saw the wanderlust of my dad. I never saw the, you know, how he interacted with people around him at work, you know, and I only saw the kind of the just the stoic dad, you know, and but he there was something I think a bit magical about him, you know, and but at the same time, it was like he kept everything so simple, you know. He didn't have hardly any possessions, you know. He was very much a minimalist, you know. And I don't know if it was my guess is a lot of it was not by choice. It was because you know he
moving around a lot,
but also you know the 1 Hour Photo Store wasn't successful, you know. It was he bought it during the dawn of the digital age, you know, when people, yeah. And but he just kept at it and kept working and worked hard and you know it was just like a good person who didn't harm anybody, you know. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You seem like a great dude.
Oh, thanks,
from what I know of you.
Thanks, Neal. Appreciate it, man.